Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Radha Gopinath, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Jai Radha Gopinath, Hare Bol, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Gopinath, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Hari Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jai Shri Hari Nam, Sankirtan Yajna Ki. So we welcome all the devotees today. It's a very auspicious time of the month, and we just had wonderful darshan of the beautiful form of Radha and Krishna. Sundar Gaur Prabhu, Radha Gopinath, right? Yeah, beautiful name. Radha Gopinath represents the highest manifestation of the connection between the devotee and the Lord. It is known in Bhagavatam. The worship of Radha Gopinath is considered to be reminiscent of a deep connection between the devotee and the Lord. And actually, the reason why we are in this material world is not because we have a deep relationship with the Lord. The reason we are here is because we have forgotten that we have a deep relationship with the Lord. That is why we are in this material world. And that is the reason why the Shastras tell us that the longer we stay in this material world, the further we get from understanding the true purpose of life. This is a very important point. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto, in the 25th chapter, I think the verse is 38, 325, 38. Krishna, in the form of, is it Krishna? No, I think it's Devahuti. No, it's Krishna. Krishna in the form of in the form of Kapila Dev, which is a very powerful incarnation of the Lord, Kapila Dev. He says a very important point from Bhagavatam, and he sings this very beautiful verse, which is the reason why we are here today. Na karhinchin mad paraha shantarupe nang shanti no me nimisho ledhi hedihi yeshamaham priya atma sutascha sakha guro suhridam daivamishtam na karhinchin mat paraha shantarupe nang shanti no me nimisho ledhi hedihi yeshamaham priya atma sutascha sukh sakha guro suhridam daivamishtam. So Krishna in this shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says something to his mother. Krishna here is Kapila Dev, and his mother was Devahuti. You must have heard of Devahuti. She's a great devotee of the Lord. And so in this shloka, Devahuti is sitting next to her son Kapila Dev. Even though she prayed to Krishna that she must have a son, Finally, when Krishna came as Kapila Dev, she ended up realizing her son's greatness as none other than the Supreme Lord. So in her prayers, she chants this very important prayer. In this prayer, she says, "My dear Lord," she's referring to her son, "devotees who receive transcendental opulences, they will never be bereft of them. No weapon, no time can actually destroy this transcendental opulence." Transcendental opulence in simple language means bhakti. That's what it means. When you are rich transcendentally, it means you have devotional service. When you're rich materially, it means you have a bank account. But when you're rich spiritually, it means your bank account has a different kind of asset. And that asset is what we call a spiritual investment. And so Devahuti is saying, Krishna, there are so many devotees in this world who are devoted to you. And these devotees who are devoted to you, their devotional service, their bhakti, will never be destroyed, cannot be destroyed. It cannot be destroyed by time. Everything else that we have will be destroyed by time. You realize that, right? Every bank account that you have will either leave you or you will leave your bank account. And whether or not at the time of death you will have that account, only Krishna knows. Every material asset you have acquired in this world, including your relationships, they will all deteriorate and eventually they will die. It is surprising if a relationship in this world actually continues. 90% of the time, all relationships start with a bang and they end with a fizzle, because that is the nature of the material world. And the reason why the relationships end is because there is no Krishna in the center. If Krishna is really in the center of a relationship, somehow or another that relationship will continue. But if there is no Krishna in the center, then the relationship cannot continue. Either it will end by the force of time, or it will end by the force of death. So Devahuti is being told by his mother, Krishna is telling his mother Devahuti that one thing you will never lose in this world, in this lifetime, is your bhakti. If you practice chanting Krishna's names, like we did for 10 minutes, and before that when we did for Arati for half an hour, if we really continuously do this as part of our life, everything else may leave us, but this bhakti will only grow in investment. It gives us the best returns, and it gives us the highest interest. All other things that we have, interest rates are all dependent on markets. But for bhakti, interest rate is only dependent on the sincerity of your devotion. So this is the first point to understand, that what we are doing today is not a ritual. It is actually an investment. And it's an investment that is eternal. And the more you spend time with Krishna, simply put, the more you invest time in him, the more he will invest time with you. That is Krishna. So no weapons, no time can kill devotional service. Now why? Devahuti now accepts what Krishna says. Krishna says the reason why devotional service cannot be killed, cannot be destroyed, is because these devotees, they all accept me, Krishna, as either a friend, their relative, their son, their preceptor, their benefactor, or their spiritual master. In so many ways, they are accepting Krishna. This is the greatness of Krishna. It is stated in our sastras that there are so many ways in which we can relate to Krishna. Some of us may relate to Krishna as a friend, like Arjuna did. And you can talk to Krishna as a friend will. Arjuna and Krishna were very informal because they were on the basis of friendship. In Vrindavan, Krishna had many friends. And those friends, they would not be formal with Krishna. They will play with Krishna, they will feed Krishna, they will steal from Krishna, they will do all kinds of mischief with Krishna. But they were friends. But Srila Prabhupada, right, one of the great acharyas, and the person who has given us this wonderful philosophy, he says something very important to today's Leela. He says, of all the relationships that you have with God, the one in which you can do most service is when you accept Krishna as your son. As your son. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada says, if you accept Krishna as your parent, you don't do so much service. Because very often, and Prabhupada says this, parents do more service for their children than children do more service for their parents. That's an interesting point, isn't it? Because when children are very young, until they grow up, Parents never stop worrying for them. We never stop caring for our children. No matter how old our children are still always children to us. Our worries, our thoughts, our care, our concern is always on them. But when we are children, we find that in the beginning years, we never serve our parents. We're always demanding from parents. We expect parents to do this, do that, everything we expect, because we say, well, you gave birth to me, so you have to take care of me. And then Prabhupada goes on to say that even when we grow up and our parents become old, very few children actually will take care of their parents. The truth is, very often they will maybe call their parents once in a while, see how they are, but they will not serve them. But even if their parents are growing old, the parents continue serving their children even in their minds and their hearts. Even till the point that they are going to die, they never forget their love for the children. This is Srila Prabhupada saying it. And when I heard this lecture, I was really struck by it, because it is a very powerful observation. And so Srila Prabhupada says, that is why in Vrindavan Dham, one of the most powerful relationships that Krishna had was actually with Mother Yashoda. And today's whole pastime is concentrated on how Mother Yashoda as a mother constantly served Krishna. And that is the highest love of all. So actually, we should learn to cultivate this love for Krishna. Prabhupada says very nicely that actually, if you accept Krishna as a child, Prabhupada says, if you accept Krishna as a child, he will never cheat you. How nicely he states that. He says, any other children, they may cheat us, or they may ignore us, or they may neglect us, but Krishna will never neglect us. Do you know there are stories in India, and this is true, there are deities whom old devotees have taken care of till the end of their lives. And at the point when they were leaving this world, or when they had left this world, the deities came in personal form to perform the last rites of these great devotees. Krishna himself. We may think it's a miracle, but Krishna is very powerful and he can do anything he wants. So Mother Yashoda woke up on the morning of Diwali one day. And when she woke up and she had so much love for Krishna, even though it was Diwali, she felt that her first duty was to serve Krishna. Very often, the mark of a very sincere parent is that even though they have so many duties, they are always conscious of their duties to their children. That's always at the back of their mind. So Mother Yashoda was thinking, it's morning of Diwali, I have so many other duties and I have guests coming, but my first lookout is Krishna. And Krishna was asleep. So she thought, let me make for Krishna some butter. Just like mothers lovingly always ensure their children are fed. Isn't it true? You know, fathers are not so good with that, right? Generally, fathers will say, let him eat if he wants. If he doesn't eat, doesn't matter. But mothers will chase us down and make sure we eat. Isn't that true? It's very true. The men are a bit more relaxed. Okay, it's fine. If he wants to do tapasya, that's all right. But not the ladies. So Mother Yashoda was thinking, it didn't matter it was Diwali. For her, the first thing she was thinking was, the first focus for her was actually Krishna. And so she started churning butter for Krishna. And churning butter is not easy. She didn't go to NTUC Fair Price to buy butter. She actually churned butter. And she got it from the cows, which meant very early in the morning, she had to milk the cows. And these cows were the best cows. And I don't know whether you've milked a cow before, but it's not as easy as it looks. Huh? It's not. It takes a lot of effort actually. And Mother Yashoda did all this on her own. She had at least 10 to 12 maidservants in her house, Bhagavatam tells us. Yet she didn't depend on a single maidservant to serve the love of her life, Krishna. And this is what we must do in bhakti. In bhakti, you cannot tell someone else to do bhakti for you. That's not how it works, right? Just like you can't tell someone to sit for you for your exams. It doesn't work that way. Try that and see what happens. You have to sit for your own exams, right? And therefore, bhakti is just like that. And so Mother Yashoda was devoted to Krishna. And devotion, bhakti, is defined not as devotion. Bhakti is defined as devotional service. That is the meaning of bhakti. You may have plenty of devotion for Krishna, but have you translated that devotion into actual action? That's what Krishna sees. You may stand before Krishna and say, Krishna, I love you very much. But what do you do for Krishna? After saying, I love you very much, what do you really do? Do you wake up in the morning and worship Krishna? Do you wake up in the morning and make offerings for Krishna and give it to him? Do you chant his names? Do you put aside a good time of the day to read about Krishna? 90% of us don't do that, but we will still say that we love Krishna. So that is not bhakti. That is a ritual. That is a good feeling. Oh, I actually love him. It's like telling your parents, I love you very much. But when you ask the parent, they will say, the children keep telling me that, but they never give us money. They never come and see us. When we are in difficulty, they never come and help us. What's the point of words? Right? Words are cheap. Talk is very cheap, they say. And therefore, Mother Yashoda walked the talk. Whatever she felt about Krishna, she acted. And she actually chanted and remembered Krishna's pastimes even while she was churning butter. And that is the secret to work. If you work without consciousness of Krishna, your work will produce what we call karma bandhanaha. It will bind you to this material world by the laws of karma. But if you put Krishna in the center, you start your work with Krishna, and if you end your work with Krishna, then your work is considered to be free of karma. You come under the internal potency of Krishna, not the external maya of Krishna. So Mother Yashoda is the perfect example as a mother. She knew that her duty and her object of affection was Krishna. And for her, Krishna wasn't God. This is a very important point. In her mind, she never thought Krishna is God, and therefore I must do this for God because then God will be happy with me. That's what we normally do. The moment we think God is supreme, everybody will bow before God. And if you ask them why, oh, because he's supreme. Mother Yashoda did not even consider Krishna supreme, and yet she served him. Do you know that how much higher a love that is? When you don't know someone is God, but you're serving them so well. So Srila Prabhupada says in his lecture that actually when we think of God as supreme and we serve him, that love is not as high as Mother Yashoda's love, where she didn't see Krishna as God, but she didn't want anything from him. He was the object of her love and she served him, full stop. That was her love. That is devotional service. It's a difficult concept to understand because we are so used to bowing before God, because somewhere at the back of our head, we have a transactional nature and relationship with God. We think if I bow before God, good punya will come, things will be good. You know, sometimes Prabhu and Mataji may invite us for a program and we think, okay, we'll come because first of all, they are friends. We shouldn't offend them. Second, if we come on an auspicious month, some punya will come. And then third, Krishna is supreme, so he will be pleased. This is not the love of Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda loved Krishna not because he was God, please remember that, but because he was the object of her uninterrupted and unmotivated affection. And so Mother Yashoda churned and churned and churned, remembering Krishna, and she was very happy. And Krishna came out of the room while he was sleeping. He woke up. Nothing woke up Krishna. But frankly speaking, Bhagavatam tells us Krishna is never asleep. He is the supreme personality of Godhead, right? He's one person who never goes to sleep. And yet, he played the perfect part of a child. So he was sleeping, but he realized in his heart that Mother Yashoda yearned to serve him in the morning of Diwali. So he came out to give her pleasure. What did he do? He asked her to feed him milk. And that was very, very, very pleasurable for Mother Yashoda, because she knew how much Krishna loved milk and butter. And so when she thought she could serve him, she stopped churning and she immediately served Krishna. And while she was serving him, she was not idle in her mind. Sometimes when we are doing some service for Krishna, we are there in person, but not there in mind. Our mind may be everywhere else. Okay, after this I must do this, after this I must watch this, after this I must talk to that person. But all the time we are doing arati, all the time we are serving Krishna, but actually mind is not there, heart is not there. But Mother Yashoda's mind and heart were both there. And so Krishna started feeding and he was very happy. But Mother Yashoda in the kitchen had put a milk in a pot on the stove. And that milk was meant for Krishna. And so Mother Yashoda started hearing the milk starting to boil over. The stove was heating up and she could almost smell the smell of burnt milk. And she thought, I have to save the milk for Krishna. So she thought, let me do one thing. Put down Krishna for just a while. Krishna was not fully fed, but she took a chance anyway. She had to save the milk. So she went into the kitchen. And at that point of time when Krishna was put down, Bhagavatam tells us Krishna became very angry, because mother had not fed him enough and he didn't like it. So he thought, let me punish mother for putting me down. Children do that, isn't it? Sometimes they become angry with us and they will tell us that they want to punish us. Of course, they're very adorable when they say that to us, but we also become concerned. So Mother Yashoda was not there, but Krishna thought, let me teach her a lesson. And so he took a stone and he broke the pot that she was churning in, and all the butter came out. Krishna became very happy when he saw the butter, because Krishna's very, very famous pastime in Vrindavan was that he was the thief of butter. He didn't only steal from his own house, but most importantly, or most unfortunately, he stole from everybody else's house. And every day Mother Yashoda would receive complaints that Krishna stole this, Krishna stole that. And Krishna was generally very, very mischievous. Many times when you read the pastime of Krishna, what he would do is he would go into the cow shed, and two cows will be eating, or they would be milking their calves, and they would be distracted. And they would be at opposite ends, and their backs were facing each other. Krishna would take their tails and he would tie two tails together. And he would tie the tails of the cow very tightly, so that when the cow started moving, they couldn't move. Krishna would do that very often, and then he would run away. So Mother Yashoda was aware that Krishna was full of mischief, but stealing butter was crossing a line, because she thought he's going to become a professional thief. At this rate, it's going to be very difficult. So she was really concerned when she saw the butter flowing out of the pot. And she realized Krishna had taken butter and he had run away. So Mother Yashoda decided, today on Diwali day, I have to discipline this boy. And so she took a stick and she started walking into the storage room, because that's where Krishna was going. When Mother Yashoda entered the room, she saw an amazing sight. She saw Krishna standing on a mortar, and therefore he could reach all the pots of milk and butter which were stored high up. He also had a stick. Mother Yashoda had a stick, Krishna had a stick. But Krishna's stick was used to break the pots, and the butter was flowing. But Krishna was a very generous thief. Not only was he stealing butter, but he was sharing butter with his co-thieves, who were the monkeys, his good friends. And they were sharing butter, they were eating butter, they were talking, and they were having a very good time. Mother Yashoda stood by the side of the door and she was unnoticed, but she still had a stick in the hand. But now our acharyas tell us that these monkeys who were feeding Krishna and Krishna feeding the monkeys, this exchange of love was not an ordinary exchange. Krishna came many years ago in Treta Yuga as Lord Rama. And one of the reasons why Lord Ram is famous today was because he conquered Ravana. Don't forget that he is also very famous in his pastime because of the great bridge that was built between Lanka and the mainland. Now, who built this bridge? It wasn't Lord Ram. It was the Vanaras. Hanuman, Sugriva, Angada, all of these. They were the great devotees of the Lord. They were the ones who built this bridge. And do you know how they built this bridge? They didn't build it because of construction genius. They built it by simply throwing heavy rocks into the ocean. But before they threw the heavy rocks, they would chant Lord Ram's names, they would inscribe Lord Ram's names, and then they would throw the rocks. Heavy rocks do not float, they sink. But these rocks floated because they were floating on the basis of the devotees' faith in Lord Ram. In fact, when Lord Ram saw in the morning, in the night he gave orders to the monkeys to build the bridge. By morning when he came out, the bridge was built. And he looked and he saw that the monkeys were throwing rocks into the water, and they were floating and they were all coming together. So Lord Ram thought, what is this magic and sorcery that somehow you can actually have rocks floating? It's not possible. So Lord Ram thought, let me try and take a rock. He took a rock and he threw it in. But when he threw the rock in, the rock hit rock bottom. It didn't float. And Hanumanji came up to him and said, Lord Ram, why is it that you're throwing rocks and rocks are falling in the ground? And Lord Ram said, I'm not sure. What is it you're doing that I'm not doing? And Hanumanji said, the only difference between me and you, my Lord, is that I have more faith in your name than you have faith in your own name. See, I write your name, or I chant your name, and I throw the rocks, and they float. They float. If you think this is amazing or this is a story, go to Dwarka Dham. In Dwarka Dham, there is a temple known as Samudra Narayana Temple. In Samudra Narayana Temple, there are 16 generations of priests there who actually came from the mainland overlooking Lanka. And they have a huge rock in the pool, right? In a small pond within the temple. And the rock is huge and it's heavy. And you try whatever you want to do. You try pushing that rock down, it floats. And they will tell you that they have honored these rocks that were found, the last vestiges of the rocks that were actually thrown by the Vanaras in the bridge. Why do I say this? These same Vanaras, when they finished serving Lord Ram after Ravana was conquered and Lanka was taken, they were asked by Lord Ram, any benediction you want, ask and I will give it. And they said, Lord, when you come back to this world again, give us an opportunity to come back to serve you. That is all we want, nothing else. This is devotional service. And so Lord Ram did not forget their request, and he promised them that when I come back, you will come back. And the Lord came back in Dwapara Yuga as Krishna, and the monkeys came back as Vanaras in Treta Yuga, and they became monkeys in Vrindavan. And in this pastime, Krishna fulfilled his promise. He allowed them to serve him, and he also served them butter. So this exchange that was taking place in front of Mother Yashoda was beyond her understanding. But Krishna knows everything, past, present, future. And one thing that we must understand from this Leela is Krishna never breaks his promise. So if you pray to Krishna and you say, if you please Krishna, Krishna will never forget your service. Nobody's service ever goes forgotten by Krishna. Please remember that. That is the gratitude of the Lord to his devotees. And so now the monkeys were fully satisfied. And so was Krishna. And when they saw Mother Yashoda, they decided, time to leave. They only left Krishna behind. So much for friends. And at that point of time, when Krishna turned around, he realized that Mother Yashoda was there. Now Krishna had great love for Mother Yashoda. When he was a child, anywhere he went, Krishna would only run after Mother Yashoda. He wouldn't go further anywhere without Mother Yashoda. But when he saw Mother Yashoda this time, he became very frightened because he saw Mother Yashoda with a stick. And he was very, very afraid that he would be punished. Bhagavatam tells us that Krishna realized that he had committed an offense. Very nice point. Krishna realized that he actually had committed an offense. Even though he is God, he takes the humble position as the perfect son. He knew that what he did was not right. He didn't stand up and say, Mother, just for your information, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I can do whatever I want. He didn't do that. Because he knew he was wrong, he started running. And when he started running, Mother Yashoda started chasing. And she thought it's very easy to catch Krishna. But it is not easy to catch Krishna. Bhishma Dev in Bhagavatam tells us that actually all the yogis are trying to understand what is Krishna's plan. They're trying to catch Krishna by understanding his plan. But no one knows his plan. No one. Nobody can actually understand Krishna's plan. What to speak of catching Krishna? It is stated in Shastras, the only people who can understand Krishna's plans are the pure devotees of Krishna. And that also if Krishna reveals the plan to the pure devotee. Otherwise it is not possible. And sometimes no one can understand Krishna's plan because his plan has so much of in-depth understanding that is beyond all of us. This is the greatness of Krishna. And when Krishna decides that he wants to protect you or he wants to give you love, no one can stop him. But if he decides that he wants to conquer you, then no one can also help you. You will be conquered. All the great demons came to Vrindavan to conquer Krishna. But he killed every one of them and he conquered them. So Mother Yashoda was chasing little Krishna as a child. But she had no understanding that he was God. And that God cannot be caught in a simple way. But Mother Yashoda, remember at the very beginning, we discussed how Mother Yashoda's love for Krishna, it was unfettered. It was unconditional. So Mother Yashoda said, Krishna, I can't catch you. She was trying very hard. The flowers were falling. Her sari, which was very tight, started becoming loose because she was running. And every time she thought she could catch Krishna's dhoti or his hair or something, he was 1 meter ahead. He was 2 meters ahead. And finally she said to Krishna, Krishna, I can't catch you. You please stop running now so I can catch you. When Mother Yashoda had that mood of surrender, had that mood of humility, then Krishna decided, let me be conquered by my mother. The Supreme Lord, who cannot be conquered by all three worlds, by the great sages, the yogis, the rishis, the munis, became conquered by love of his mother. And so he stopped and he agreed to be caught. Now, not only was he caught, he didn't get caught and then stood there like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, he got caught and he became very frightened. You see the pictures that we have. You see the murti here. Krishna is putting his hands together like this. He's not putting his hands blessing Mother Yashoda. Why? Because he was scared. Because Mother Yashoda had the stick and he thought he was going to be beaten. So Krishna started crying. And Mother Yashoda is thinking, Kunti Mata is thinking, Gopya dade tvai kridaga sidama tava. She's saying this in Bhagavatam. She's saying that, how is it, Krishna, that you who are feared by fear personified could start crying with so much fear in your heart that you were shaking, and your tears were such a way, Kalilanjana Sambramaksham, that all the mascara and the kajal that you had, the ointment in your eyes, were being washed away by your tears. You were shaking so much so that your jewelry was shaking with you. And how is it that it is impossible? Because no one in this world is more fearless than Krishna. God has nothing to fear. Everybody may fear God, but who does God fear? God doesn't fear anyone. That is why He is God. So she's saying, Vaktram niniya bhaya bhavanaya stitasya. How is it that fear personified is scared of you, but you are fearful of a simple, ordinary, middle-aged gopi known as Yashoda? How? So it is very, very bewildering for people who don't understand this exchange of love. They cannot see it. They think that how is it that God can become so weak? But God is not weak. God can be conquered by love and devotion. And He prepares to become subordinate to His devotee out of love, not out of fear. And so Mother Yashoda caught Krishna, and now she put the stick down. And she said, Krishna, I'm not going to beat you. But you are very naughty. And so now I must actually tie you. And so Mother Yashoda decided, I will bind Krishna. And I will bind him to the mota, because it's a bit taller than him and it's a bit heavy. So I'll keep Krishna there. So she took the ropes and she brought it around Krishna. But she couldn't tie him. She couldn't catch Krishna. And now she couldn't tie him. She brought the ropes to the belly of Krishna, but it was 2 inches short. She brought more rope, and it was 2 inches short. She brought more and more rope, as much as she could, but it was 2 inches short. And she was thinking, how do I bind Krishna? This is the same thing that happened to Bali Maharaj in 8th canto of Bhagavatam. Bali Maharaj asked Vamandev, who was actually Krishna, come in disguise as a little dwarf Brahmana, very dwarfish, And he asked, Bali Maharaj asked Vamandev, whatever you want from me, ask. Vamandev said, I just want land which is equivalent to 3 paces of my feet. And by the way, his feet was probably like this. That's all he wanted. 3 paces, that's his land. So Bali Maharaj laughed at him. He said, my dear Brahmana, obviously you're quite innocent. You have no idea of the world and the ways of the world. Your property can be much more. Why don't you ask for more? Why don't you ask for my pace of land? I can give you unlimited land. On top of land, I can give you jewelry. I can give you cows. On top of cows, I can give you jewelry on the cows. Right? I can give you diamonds and necklaces that I put on the cows. I can give you many ladies to serve you. I can even give you a wife. I can give you wives even. I can give you villages if you want. And you want 3 paces of land? Really, Krishna? Really, Brahmana? Don't be silly. But Vamandev said something very nice. He said, O king, if I cannot be satisfied with what I am asking of my own accord, I can never be satisfied with whatever you give and the entirety of the world. Very nice point. Very nice point. We all have a quota. And very often, our tendency is to exceed the quota. It's called greed, by the way, right? When you exceed your quota, you are greedy. But if you understand that what is coming to you is Krishna's mercy, then instead of being greedy, you transform greed into satisfaction. You see the point? Instead of becoming caught by desire, you transform desire into satisfaction. and you transform your desire into service. And that's what Bali Maharaj did when he finally realized, oh my God, this is Vamandev, because Vamandev said, I will take 3 steps. And did he take 3 steps? In one step, he covered the whole of the lower worlds. In the second step, he covered the entire earth and the upper regions. And in the third step, he moved his legs so high up that he pierced the coverings of the universe, and Mother Ganga started flowing from the spiritual sky into this world. Into this world. And he couldn't put his third step anywhere. And then he turned to Bali and said, excuse me, Bali, you said what, 2 steps? 3 steps of mine? Well, I've taken 2 and I don't have space for 3. So where is the place I put the third step on? Why did I bring this up? Because very often we think we have the capacity to control what God is going to give us, or we have the capacity to ask from God something. But we don't realize that when God gives, we don't even have enough hands to count. But if God takes, we don't have enough hands to hold back also. Everything goes. Mother Yashoda was a devotee par excellence. And therefore, again in the correct mood, she surrendered to Krishna. When Bali Maharaj saw two paces of land covered everything, he put his head low before Krishna, Vamandev. And he said, put your last foot on my head. And he surrendered. And when he surrendered, Vamandev became very happy with him. And when Mother Yashoda surrendered, Krishna became very happy with her. And when she surrendered, Krishna surrendered to her. The unconquerable Lord becomes conquered by his mother because of the sweet exchange of devotional service. So you see, devotional service is dynamic. It is about actions. It is about movement. It's about activity. It is not about daydreaming. It is not about some airy-fairy idea of God. It's about changing your life to make him in the center. That is devotional service. And so Mother Yashoda became very happy that Krishna was tied. Now these 2 inches of the rope represent 2 very important factors in devotional service. You just take this back. You can forget the pastime, though I think you won't. But these 2 things you should not forget. The first inch is our endeavor and our surrender and our attention and our attraction to Krishna. 4 things. The first inch represents our endeavor, which leads to our surrender. And our surrender is comprised of our attention, which then leads to attraction. If you're not attentive to Krishna, you cannot become attracted to him. If you don't endeavor for Krishna, you cannot surrender to him. That is the equation. Very simple. But no matter how much surrender you have, the second inch of the rope is needed. And that is from Krishna's side. And that is Krishna's mercy. His mercy. Until we get his mercy, it is very difficult to do anything. It is by his mercy that we are here today. We all decided we will come because Prabhu and Mataji invited us. We may have had so many reasons to come. Some of us may have come because we are living nearby. Okay, it's a Monday, we can come. Some of us came because we felt very happy. They are our friends, so we are coming. Some of us really felt, oh, so nice, we can take darshan of Radha Gopinath and we can hear katha, and we liked it. Some of us maybe came because, oh, at least at the end of the prasadam, at the end of the program, we have prasadam. It could be any of these things, but we came. But we cannot come here and enter this room unless Krishna sanctioned it. He sanctioned it. I'm sure Mataji and Prabhu have called others also. But today, they are not here. That requires his mercy. And therefore, you are here because you have just done 2 inches of the rope. You put in your endeavor to come here. And Krishna's mercy reciprocated with your endeavor. And lo and behold, you are here now. And you are seeing Krishna. Even if you forget the pastime, that 2 inches has been acted on now. That's why you're here. You see the point? So this is how bhakti operates. And Krishna became very pleased with his mother and he agreed to be bound. And Mother Yashoda became very happy with Krishna because Krishna is bound. And now she's free and she went to the kitchen and Diwali continued. But Krishna was not finished. Krishna may be bound, but it doesn't mean he's not free. There's a difference, huh? Krishna may be bound, but it doesn't mean he's not free. And so now he decided, I have one more pastime to finish. And Krishna started crawling to the end of the garden where there were 2 big trees. known as Yamal Arjuna trees. And these trees had been standing in the courtyard of his father and mother for thousands of years. They were there for a long time. Krishna went in between the tree, little boy, but the motor, which was now horizontal and rolling, it got stuck. Krishna is the source of all strengths. So he just had to push a little bit and the trees came down with a crash. And in place of the trees were two beautiful devatas, the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nala Kuvera. So Krishna looked at them and smiled. And he said, "Why are you two gentlemen standing as trees in my courtyard? What's your history?" And they said, "Krishna, we have waited for thousands of years for you to deliver us today. We were devatas. We were great devotees of you. But because we were the sons of Kuver and our father was very rich, we became intoxicated by pride. And not only were we intoxicated by pride, we were also intoxicated by intoxicants. And we were drunk most of the time. And therefore we forgot the purpose of life." You know, when you're intoxicated most of the time, your purpose of life is a bit different, right? And so they were just like that. And one day they were swimming in the Mandakini river, very holy river, mind you. And they were swimming there when Narada Muni passed by. And Narada is a great sage and a great devotee. And instead of coming out with clothes and bowing before the Lord's greatest devotee, what did they do? They came out drunk. They were intoxicated. And they stood in drunken stupor before Narada. When Narada saw them that way, he didn't become angry, but he felt very compassionate to them. He thought, these two boys have so much potential, but they're wasting it by using the form of life, which is the human form of life, for such material enjoyment. He told them that you have enjoyed so many lifetimes you drank, so many lifetimes you did all these material things. Can you not in this one lifetime give it to Krishna, which is the goal of your life? So because you are so drunk and you cannot understand what's happening, and because I notice you don't like to put on clothes, I pray now that you will become trees. Because trees don't wear clothes anyway. You save money on clothes, you become trees. And you will become trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. And I pray one day when Krishna is in Vrindavan, he will deliver you. So even though it appeared like a curse, a sadhu's curse is always a blessing. Please remember that. When you and I curse each other, I don't think it's a blessing. Okay? So if a devotee comes and says, "Prabhu, I wish you would become a stone," it's not a blessing. Huh? Yeah. We don't have the capacity to be compassionate and say, "Prabhu, I wish you become a stone so that Krishna will come and deliver you." It probably won't happen. But Narada is such a great devotee of the Lord that when he prayed for the deliverance of these two boys, Krishna locked in. He locked it in and he logged in. And he kept it in mind because Krishna never forgets the prayer of a devotee. But you know what's the beauty of this prayer? This prayer of Narada Muni is unique in this pastime because it was not for him. It was for the benefit of someone else. And this is what conquers Krishna. Mother Yashoda conquered Krishna with her love for him. Narada Muni conquered Krishna with his love for the living entities. Do you see it? Mother Yashoda was conquered by Krishna because of her love for him. But Krishna was conquered by Narada because of his love and compassion to two boys. This is the greatness of a devotee. Devotee never prays for himself. A devotee always prays for the welfare of others. Mataji and Prabhu have so kindly given us today, a Monday, a chance to come together to hear Krishna Katha. What do they gain actually? You tell me. They don't gain anything. In fact, the whole day they are cooking, they are cleaning, and they want to feed all of you. But they are doing this because they are praying that all of us will gain benediction of hearing Krishna Katha and taking darshan of Radha Gopinath. Do you know, just to take darshan of Krishna is not an accident. You are not just seeing Krishna. Seeing Krishna is just to use your material eyes. But darshan means to see Krishna with your heart. That is the meaning of darshan. Another word is not only do we see Krishna, but Krishna is giving us his audience. As a king gives audience to us, Krishna is giving us ikshanam. We are taking darshan of Krishna and Krishna is giving us ikshanam. He is giving us his audience. It is not an ordinary process here. And therefore, they are actually doing what devotees do. They pray for our welfare. And Krishna is conquered that way. Radha Gopinath is conquered. That's why they are here. So Narada Muni conquered Krishna with his prayer. And so Krishna delivered these two boys. But before delivering them, he warned them. He told them, by the way, you have nothing to do with me because you never prayed to me. You were too drunk to pray to me, by the way. But because a devotee prayed for you, I am now delivering you. Look at the mercy of Krishna. That's why if you really want to make express advancement in devotional service, the secret is serve the devotees. When you serve the devotees, Krishna becomes very pleased. What happens sometimes with us is, in front of Krishna, we are very nice. Krishna, I'm very happy, I'm a good devotee. But the moment we turn away from Krishna, we are horrible with everybody else. It happens. Huh? That's why people get tired of going to temple. You ask the younger generation to go to temple, they'll tell you, why should I go to temple? These people go to temple. I see my parents, the older people go to temple. But when they come back, they gossip, they criticize, they find fault. So what's the point of going to temple? That's where we have failed. Whenever we are in the temple, what we are in the temple, we should be at home. Because our house should become temples. That is very important. So Krishna delivered Nalakuvera and Manigriva on the strength of the rope that Narada Muni bound him. Krishna fed the monkeys on the strength of the rope that the monkeys bound Krishna with their love. And Krishna was tied by Mother Yashoda on the basis of the rope of her love, her endeavor, her surrender, her enthusiasm, her attention, and her attraction. Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Yashoda Mata ki. Jai. Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki. Jai. Are there any questions? If you have questions, it's a good time to ask. Are there any objections? That's also a good time to bring up. Yes, Prabhu.
I think once you are told the prayer for everyone's welfare in 5th canto, 18th chapter, 9th verse, Prahlad Maharaj.
Yeah, it's a beautiful verse. It's the Swasti Astame, isn't it? That verse is so nice. Prahlad Maharaj chants that verse so beautifully. Just to save time, his prayer for the welfare of the whole world is actually, he prays that the whole world should be free of envy of each other. Prahlad Maharaj, a pure devotee of the Lord, he says that may the whole world be free of envy. And may we all have friendly relations with each other. It's a beautiful point actually. Parikshit Maharaj also had a similar point. Parikshit Maharaj, when he was going to die in 7 days, he invited all the great devotees to come together. And he sat down with Shukadev Goswami to hear Bhagavatam. But he told the devotees, if I have to come back again to this world, Punascha Bhuyat Bhagavati Anante. He said in 1916, he said that if I have to come back to this world again, then I only pray for 3 things. 1, unflinching attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna. 2nd, service to his devotees. And 3rd, friendly, Maitreya, friendly relations with all living entities. This is the mood of a Vaishnava. This is the mood of Yashoda Mata. This is the mood of all the great devotees. So you realize one thing today, so much of bhakti has to do with practical character development. Isn't it true? The entire discussion today centers so much on how devotees behave, how Yashoda Mata behaved, how the Vanaras behaved, how Nalakuvera and Manigriva behaved. So it's very important for us to understand this, that actually Bhagavatam and devotional service is characterized by our behavior. Not just by prayer. Prayer must transform into behavior. Is that helpful? Thank you, Mahesh Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So practically, how do we know what are the symptoms, Prabhuji, when we are surrendered?
Yes.
So how do we know that we have reached the pinnacle of, like I think with the example of, but in today's context, how can we, through some symptoms, we can see ourselves that we have reached that pinnacle of surrender?
I think the best way to understand if we are surrendering to Krishna is actually that we will experience a lot of satisfaction and happiness in our devotional service. We will not expect happiness outside of devotional service. Maybe some material happiness will come, but it is temporary, and very often it gives us pain. But spiritual happiness will always give us bliss. A devotee who is surrendered never feels he's surrendered. That is also an important symptom. A devotee never feels, oh my God, I'm really surrendered. I can feel it in my bones, No, the devotee never does that. A devotee who is surrendered always feels that I'm really not surrendered enough. That is a true symptom of a devotee. Is that helpful, Prabhu? Mm-hmm. Yes, Prabhu.
So you mentioned about taking darshan.
Taking darshan.
What should be the mood when we are taking darshan?
When we are taking darshan of the Lord, we should first of all focus our mind on Krishna. Mind should not be running everywhere. And the best way to focus on our mind on Krishna is when you see the deities, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. If you keep chanting and seeing the deities, your mind is automatically controlled. If you don't, your mind is running everywhere. Try it, and you will see there's a difference. Which is why when we do japa, it is good to chant in front of the deities. That is ikshanam and that is darshan. Is that helpful, Prabhu? So shall we now light the lamps, Mataji, Prabhu? How are you going to get this organized? Right here, in front here? Okay. So we will have a path here. Now, does everybody have Damodar Ashtakam? Did you share it, Prabhu, with them on your WhatsApp or something? No, huh? Okay. Because what happens is we need to sing this Ashtakam. And so to sing it, you need to be able to know it. You can try to project it. Those who want to, if you want to look, Haribol, if you want to look at your phone now, it's all right. Just look at Damodar Ashtakam. Easy. Damodar Ashtakam PDF. And you will see it there, right? This is a good time to see your phone. Just give space for them to come forward. Jai Shri Shri Damodar Ashtakam ki. Namo Vishwaharam Sachiranandarupam Lasat Kundalam Go Kule Brajamahanam. Lasat Kundalam Go Kule Brajamahanam. Haribol. Hari Hari. Yashoda Diolu Kaladhavamanam Taram Rishtahamadyam Tato Dhrutya Gopya. Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Prijantam Paramoja Yugme Nasatum Kanetram. Muhu Swasakampam Trirekakakantam Stita Graivam Damam Daram Bhakti Bhadam. Iti Drik Swalilabi Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajan सता वृत्ति वंदे जय दामोदर जी की वरं देवः मोक्षं नः मोक्षवदिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरिष्ठादपीह इदं ते वपूर्णात् गोपालमालं सदा मे मनस्या विरस्तां किमन्ये जय बालगोपाल की इदं ते मुखाम्बोजम् अद्यन्तनीलै वृतं कुन्तलैस्ते दरतैश्च गोप्या मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरता नरं मे मनस्या विरास्ता अलं लक्षणादे हरि बोल नमो देवः दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रबोधु प्रजलादिनाग्रम दामोदर जी की कृपा दृष्टि वृष्या दिनं बतानु ग्रहाणे क्षमामन्यमेदाक्षि दशया हरि बोल वेरात्मजं बद्धं मुत्यैव यादव त्वया मोचिता भक्तिभजो कृतौ च हरि हरि तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकं मे प्रयः च न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे Radha Gopinath ki Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jaya Yashoda Damodara, Yashoda Damodara, Yashoda Damodara, Yashoda Damodara, Jai Shri Yashoda Damodar Ji ki, Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ji ki, Jai Shri Kartik Maas ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudeva ki, Ananta Kodi Vaishnavinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much, Sundar Gaur Prabhu. Time is running. I need to make calls. That's why I've given myself a quota. This is the best we can do. We have a program every day. So you can join us. You can join us.
That too many times.
Huh?
In a day also many times.
Thank you, Prabhu. And thank you, Mataji, for having us over also.